So I'm pretty excited to have Matt Carter here. He is a co-founder of howsmyteendriver.com, and really it's a great concept, I think, that he and his partner are rolling out and picking up a lot of traction, no pun intended. But Matt, let's jump into it. I want to learn more about howsmyteendriver.com. So tell us a little bit about you and how this all came to be.
Yeah, it's just like it sounds. I was simply driving, and this young driver started swerving into my lane, and I beat my horn at him eventually and avoided the accident. But at the stoplight, we ended up next to each other, and I look over, and it's just this kid, and he's got his phone out and he's texting. And I was like, oh, my kids are teenagers, right? And I was like, I want to text you. I want to call your dad. That literally was my thought. Like, I want to talk to an adult and let him know, you almost caused an accident because you're doing, what everybody does, but we should try not to. And as having this thought of, I wish there was a way to contact that parent, I look forward and I'm behind this work truck, and it has a "How's my driving" bumper sticker. And I just went, they need that for kids.
Wow.
Right. And I got home and I was like, Googled it, did not exist. And I called my partner, Andy. We have a couple businesses together. And I said, am I way off, or is this a cool idea? And his kids are that's how we met, was through our kids' sports. And he was like, oh, that's brilliant. We need to do this. And I was like, let's do it. And that was it.
Okay, so now you've created this website and this bumper sticker that goes on the back of any vehicle.
Yep.
And it just says, "How's my teen driver doing?" Or what?
How's my teen driver? And a phone number.
And a phone number.
Yeah, and that's it. And you call, and it just says, you must, please leave the license plate number and the state you're in, and the message to the parent, and it converts it to digital. And we immediately, once we get it, we just shoot text to the parents of that exact message.
Wow, how's that been received?
Really well.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, kids don't love it because, kids don't love to be held accountable. But yeah, I mean, that's the feedback we get from the kids, which is really what we're trying to do. A byproduct is the parents feel more secure, right? They're like other eyes. We call them road guardians, but other road guardians are watching out for my kid. That's helpful. But really, for the kids, they're sitting there kind of like, even I'm a law-abiding citizen, but when a cop is behind me, I'm like, all right, 10 and 2, turn down the music, use my blinker.
Yeah.
And that's how kids kind of feel all the time. And my background's fitness. And when you're learning new habits, whether it be fitness or driving, the beginning to create those new habits is the most important time. So if we have a little extra accountability, a little more nerves about good driving habits, those become your habits. That becomes how you drive. And so that's the idea.
I mean, I'm sure the parents are like, this is kind of cool, but is it a little helicopter-y?
So here's the thing is, yes, compared to what we used to do, it is.
Okay.
But what I didn't even know, because no one talks about it, is the number one killer of teens in the United States is driving.
Is that right? I didn't know that.
Right?
I didn't know that.
I assumed suicide or drugs. No, it overwhelms all of them. It's driving.
Wow.
Yes, and that's not even including just the basic accidents, right? These are fatalities.
Whoa.
Right? And so you're 60% more likely to be in a car accident in your first 2 years of driving compared to the rest of the population combined, right? That group is getting in accidents. And that's why insurance rates are so high, and all that, these guys know this data, and you get charged accordingly. So hopefully, our goal is 1,000 saved lives in 2 years, right?
That's awesome.
And you don't know, but you can watch. So even with all the tech that's going into cars now and apps and all the blah, 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 death rates are still rising, right? And so what we'll do is we'll see the trend, and we plant our flag this summer. And hopefully 2 years from now, we can say, look, we've saved 1,000 lives.
So here in Idaho locally, have you been rolling this out to schools, or where are people finding out about this?
So it's a pretty big media push. We've gotten incredible support basically for free from all sorts of organizations who go, yeah, that's cool. Let's save some lives, And so like we're in the Colorado Rockies Stadium in the 17th stretch. They're doing a whole thing about us.
Oh my God.
Just things like that. It's just kind of taking on a life of its own. That's pretty cool.
That is so cool. And for the listeners, there's going to be a special given to the Go Idaho listeners at the end of this where you'll want to jump in on this. So and that's coming from Matt and his partner. So we appreciate that. So stay tuned for that. Okay, so you guys are starting. I mean, what I love about this is just an idea.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of swelled. Have you roll this out like to insurance carriers or talk to them about this?
We have, and basically their answer is, we're data driven. Show us the data and we'll figure something out, because this is a very cool idea. But they're all trying to solve this issue. You know, right now the big one for most insurance carriers is you get the plug-in, it goes into your OBD sensor in your car, like when you get your exhaust tested or whatever.
Yeah.
And that hasn't moved the needle. So they're looking for another solution. And because really, for example, if you have that in there, it tells you like hard acceleration or hard braking. It's really easy for a kid to defend that. Oh, I had to merge into traffic, or a dude in front of me slammed on his brakes, so I slammed on my brakes, right? I can drive like a complete jerk and follow the law. I can flip people off. You know, I can swerve. It's not checking any of those things. And those are, I can be on my phone texting. Right. This is the sort of stuff we're trying to have other people go, hey, I saw your kid. He was being a jerk. Right?
Well, there's so much technology in cars now that our kids learn to drive with.
100%.
But the parents, for the most part, aren't buying them the 2022, 2023 Suburban, right? It's the 1989 Ford truck for my son in my case, and it's completely different. And so you don't have the backup cameras, you don't have the sensors on the lights. And so I can imagine where kids get used to learning on their parents' vehicles, and then they get their vehicle and it's like, wait a second. And so that swerving happens, they're texting or driving. That's terrible, man. I had no idea the death rate was so high.
Yeah, we were just looking into it yesterday, and it had been slowly climbing through the 3,000s. And what we found yesterday was the new rate's 5,800 per year.
Whoa, nationally.
Right? Yeah, nationally.
Whoa.
So that's a lot.
That's a lot.
And then when you consider most accidents aren't fatalities, how many accidents, how much money is that costing families? Kids getting hurt, pedestrians getting hurt, other drivers getting hurt. You know, it's a big number.
So I'm thinking back to when I was in high school, maybe, where if I had a buddy who had that bumper sticker, I would be blowing that thing
for sure.
up, right?
For sure. And it does happen. And so when it comes in, every time, it is anonymous for both ends, but every time someone gets a report or makes a report, we have a database of that. Right. And so if we start to see, the same kid or the same human, messaging us, because you can call or text or scan the QR code.
Got it.
If the same person does it several times, we see a pattern, we flag it, say, hey, this may be fraudulent.
Yeah. So you've kind of rolled this out. What are parents saying?
So the feedback we get usually from moms is, I feel better with knowing other moms are looking out for my kids. Dads are much more quiet about it, but the mom, it is like a bit of a safety net for them, and that's what we always say. Like when you got your kid their first bike, you didn't just be like, good luck, kid. Right. But that's what we do with the car. Like, oh, you got your license. Here's the keys. And now you can go 100 miles an hour and this weighs 7,000 pounds. And so you put training wheels on that bike and you let them tootle around and learn until we felt they were ready. Then you take the training wheels. And I distinctly remember running next to my kid when I took the training wheels off. What are you going to do? Run next to the car? Right? Hey, slow down. Right? No, you just let them go. So this is kind of like, we call it the training wheels. It's kind of like someone next to you looking out for you. And the other thing it does to the other drivers, you see that like new driver or whatever stickers on cars. It's kind of a signal to the community like, hey, I might do some weird stuff because I'm still learning. Give me a little grace, give me a little more space. Don't expect me to be perfect like you would of a fully developed driver. So it helps in that sense too.
No, that's great. And I bet there's a lot of moms out there who appreciate it. The saying, it takes a village to raise.
Exactly. That's one of our slogans. It takes a village to raise a teen driver.
Have you had you mentioned that you were in the 7th inning stretch at the Colorado Rockies. Who's been kind of picking this up and kind of pushing this out? I mean, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, so a local celebrity named Brandon Barnes, he's a baseball player in the Hall of Fame, played for Colorado for years. He heard about it through some, just word of mouth essentially. And we got connected with him and he's like, I'm doing this thing in Colorado. Let me connect you and see if there's a way to work it in. So he volunteered to do, we're in the concourse for I believe it's the 27th and 28th of September with Brandon. Come down, get a signed deal with Brandon, get a photo with Brandon, and cool. Check out our booth. And so it's been, and that's the first of, we probably got 10 more things lined up of that like level.
Oh, wow.
People are just like, yeah, let's save some kids. Like,
that's
who
what
doesn't want that to happen.
I mean, that's what it's about.
And what brand doesn't that help? Whether you're an athlete or Dick's Sporting Goods or whatever, it's good for everybody to have these kids,
So what is it like if I wanted to sign up? Like what is and someone's listening to this right now as they're driving or wherever, they're like, okay, I want to check this out. Like, what's the deal?
Just go to the website.
Okay.
howsmyteendriver.com.
Okay.
And it's very straightforward. It's
Okay.
just step by step. You sign up. We mail you your we call it a sticker kit. So it's got the main kit with the phone number and then 3 QR codes. And a letter from us talking about the program, and we mail it to you, and you slap it on your card. The moment you register, you're live. So technically, you pay for like 2 days.
Okay.
Where the sticker is en route, and then you just put the sticker on the car.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
It's very straightforward.
So how long has this been going? Like,
So we started beta testing just before the summer started, and then we started
this year.
Yep.
Wow.
And then starting September 1, we went live.
Okay, so September 1, you're live. What's the how many subscribers?
I bet we'll hit over 1,000 just this month.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean our targets are big. Like there are between 10.2 and 10.8 million teen drivers on the road at any one time, and for us to have a significant impact, we need to be in the hundreds of thousands. So our targets are in the hundreds of thousands.
Oh, that's incredible. That's incredible. So how much is a membership?
It's $8.
$8 a year?
Yeah, a month.
A month.
$8 a
Okay.
month. Yep.
That's not bad.
Yeah,
That's cheaper than lunch.
We know our cost to operate, and so we don't have a lot of profit built into this. It's really, if we make money, it'll be off of a huge volume, not off of an individual.
Yeah.
And really, it was how little can we charge and still function as a business. It's kind of what we chose to do.
No, I mean, that's great. That's great. So I'm sure it's already in the works, but are you going into high schools, or are you working with the driver's ed departments, or how's that going?
It's really interesting because every state runs their own driving system, right? So Idaho's going to have different process to get your driver's license than even our neighbor Oregon or Utah. And so getting through that bureaucracy is quite challenging. So we're just attacking it one state at a time. As we reach out, we're getting connected with people who connect us with the next, and we just start following that bouncing ball.
What's been the biggest pushback or obstacle that you're like, wow, I did not even
Just being new.
foresee this being a problem? Or
That's it. And most people had the same reaction as you. I did not know this was such an issue.
Yeah.
And when you start to deal with large companies or government entities, it's just bureaucracy. And most people don't have the power to make a decision like that. You have to get through panels and boards, and when we're new, we don't have the data to show yet. So it's really grassroots. You can get the message to people, let the people decide.
Have you had any success stories that have come from it yet, or are we way too soon on
We're
that?
early, but even from beta to now, we've had no accidents with any of our drivers.
That's awesome.
So that's statistically we should have had within our group some accidents.
Have you had anyone approach you and be like, I wish I had this because of the situation?
Have some political figures we've been talking to. One of them one of his children died at 17 in a car accident, and he immediately got it. He's like, "Yep, I wish I had this." This is so. He's a big proponent of getting it through his state, where we're talking through the structuring of that, like who's going to pay for this, but at what threshold can we mandate this, things of that nature. Where it's like if we can move the needle and start saving lives, we're winning.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And if you're the parent who's lost a child, that one life is all it takes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think we all know someone who's been through that, and it's horrific.
It is.
And man, if that could have saved,
Yeah.
Or at least started a conversation earlier
100%.
on.
And so that's what we say is when you're driving, the consequences are severe, right? You get arrested, you kill somebody, or you kill yourself. These are severe consequences. If we can give the parents a tool to teach them minor consequences. Hey, you were driving like a jerk today. You're losing your keys for the day. So the kid starts to think twice.
Yeah.
Because you don't want that big consequence.
No, it's just that I think that's it, man. You're just setting it all up for just a little check and balance, so that they are. You're not going to text them when they're driving off the road,
right?
Late at night and no one's around, or something like that. So, man, no, that's fantastic. So I've got Matt here. He is the co-founder of HowsMyTeenDriver.com. It's a awesome organization that has just kicked off here September. They launched it here in nationwide in September. And they've got endorsements from pro athletes, former pro athletes, and it sounds like it is just this giant snowball that is going to move so quick.
Behind the scenes, there's so much. The endorsements that are going to come out in the next 3 months will blow your mind. right? How did you go from a startup to this? And I can't disclose them,
Of course,
right? But,
yeah.
but you'll be like, you're out of nowhere. And it is, except we started this process, and I came up with the idea in November. We started spinning it up in February. And so it's been building behind the scenes for that whole time, us figuring out really what we're talking about, what parent interest would be, what our tech, it's not a tech-driven company, but we do have to have some tech going behind the scenes. I have spinning that up and the websites, and then you go through iterations and branding. It's just, it's a big lift.
It is. Well, it sounds like you guys are killing it I mean, so far. So you're here in Idaho, you're based out of Idaho, which is great. Gives a little bit more exposure to our community here. And how are you navigating the different states? You mentioned that earlier, that man, each state has such a different, do you have a team attacking that, or is it just when you get the time, you start?
So we take it in steps. And so what we'll do is just, like, for example, we'll decide it's time to move into addressing driving schools. And so we'll basically break the country up into its 50 parts. And first we have to figure out what the rules and regulations are for those driving schools, and then literally start calling. You call, and each state is different. It's not like it's one state has it all through, like the Idaho Transportation Department, and that's what controls driver's licensing and driving schools. The next state you get to will be controlled through the Commerce Department. And so it's just work.
Yeah, rewarding work at that, you know. My gosh. Okay. And I'm sure law enforcement is behind this.
Yeah, so we're spinning up a nonprofit right now, because when you get into some of these entities, they can't do business with private parties. So we're spinning up a nonprofit where people can donate, and we use that money to support law enforcement, support kids who want to follow our program. Our intent will be ultimately to help get kids through driving schools, because not all states, like I grew up in Alaska, and driving schools are not mandatory. So you can just start driving, you get your license, you pass the test, you're driving, right? And so having an option for us to help fund some of that, to help just kids be a better driver.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, and that'll be good too, because I'm sure there's people out there who don't have a teen, but they would still like to contribute or do something. So that's where that nonprofit would come in.
Absolutely. And so we were talking with people who, like, the moment we're done, they're like, I'll pay for an entire high school.
Is that right?
And you're like, that's amazing, because it's not cheap.
Yeah.
By the time you're talking a year for 1,000 kids.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's fantastic. Yeah. And what a great use of your money,
100%.
To go towards something like this, to help someone that you don't, it's just a powerful thing that you got going on. So, Matt, is there anything else that the viewers here or the audience listening here should know about this? Or
I would just encourage you, if you're not going to participate directly, just considering yourself a road guardian is important, right? So if you see a kid with a "How's my teen driver" bumper sticker, A, be aware that they're a learner. B, keep an eye on them. That's the whole point. Don't be afraid to report, weirdness, or even we have people leave positive reviews too. So say, like, hey, I saw this
is that
kid,
right?
He avoided an accident, or, that message will get to the parents too. So you don't just want to hear the crap your kid does that's bad all the time, right?
So that's good. You can also send the positive. That's great. That's really good. I think this is just a great little, I say little, but it's massive. It's a massive movement going across the country. Started here in Idaho, Meridian, Idaho, of all places, and it's going to take the country by storm. And how cool is that? Matt, it's been such a honor to have you come in, share with us a little bit about what you're doing, and the impact that you're going to have across the community is so great. And Matt's got a special offer for us, for you guys here at Go Idaho and those listening. So if you go to howsmyteendriver.com and use the discount code Go Idaho, the first 10 members, you will get 12 months of free subscription, and they'll waive the $20 initial fee from September 20th until September 20th of next year. So 1 year. So Matt, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us on.
You got it.